if you've come here, it's probably because you're interested in knowing what this is about. Probably seen it at a show or something. It's quite a simple build by all accounts, so I'll keep this as brief as I can. The actual body itself I got from down the road. Someone was selling it for cheap, 50 quid or something like that. It had 3 wheels, it was missing a hub, and the rear axle was very rusty. The steering didn't work, it was genuinely a bit buggered. Brought it home, and I already had a moped. I picked up a moped off a friend of mine as payment for work that I'd already done. Pulled the engine out of the moped, put it in here, which sits there. Moped is a Honda 125 PGM. It's got a fuel injected 125cc engine, really reliable, on the button. Fuel injection really makes this as good as it can be. Carbureted 125 engines are an absolute nightmare, rolling onto the throttle gently and all that. I've had enough of that crap. The fuel injected engine on this is great fun. It sips the fuel pretty well. Doesn't really be an issue for me. Anyway, on the front of this, originally we had a double wishbone hub. Double wishbone hubs on these were knackered. The tyres that were attached to them were knackered, and I could have just put new tyres on it and serviced the wishbones that were on it, the hubs that were on it, sorry. But that would have required waiting for parts and spending money on parts. It's not really my style. I have these wheels which were attached to these hubs, which have a little drum brake on the inside there. The drum brake is cable operated inconveniently, but all I've done is run a small motorbike throttle cable to each one, tied it to a sort of lever system that's affected by the pedal there. Really simple, doesn't really work all that well. The drum brakes, can't expect much out of them, especially when they're that small. It's enough to slow you down. It's not going to bring you to a stop, but the foot brake only does the front brakes anyway. So if you push enough on it, it just locks the front wheels up, which is more than you need. So if the brakes were much better, you'd just be locking up and understeering everywhere. These hubs that I did have though, they use a different type of mounting style. Annoyingly, they have a bolt that goes straight through the top rather than one that goes front to back. To account for this, I sort of made a rudimentary knuckle, same on the other side, that the hub mounts into, and then the 2 upper and lower arms mount into that. It does mean that there's a lot of movement in the hub, but it still works. The geometry is reasonably consistent for something of its style. It does the job. The steering is quite heavy, but if you've ever driven a go-kart that's got heavy steering, which is quite common, it won't be anything unfamiliar. The steering itself is pretty much original. All I've had to do is extend the tie rods by about 2 inches on each side to account for the extra width from the hubs. And these struts are mounted to just bits of box section. These struts are the original front shocks out of the moped. Again, trying to keep it as cheap as possible. The front brake lever is underneath this tube. This tube is actually the original handlebars from the moped. All I've done is put a little grub screw onto the front of it, locks onto the handle. It's really good handbrake. You don't have to pull that barely at all, and it locks the rear wheels up a lot better than a hydro in a car. Shifter, standard, backwards for up, forwards for down. It's very slamming, firmly sort of mechanical shifter. It's great fun. No clutch at all, it's an auto clutch engine. So once you put it in gear, you just start applying the throttle, pulls away, like any moped. But unlike a normal moped, you've got the gears control still, which is great fun for the go-kart. Up the top of the back, we've got the fuel tank, which has the fuel low pressure fuel pump. The fuel injectors on the underside of the carb. Carb's been flipped over to be able to make this all work nice and neatly in the package, because originally the carb would have been inside the back of the seat. The seat itself is actually like a mobility scooter and is very comfortable. On the right hand side over there, we've got the instrument cluster from the moped. That gives me gear display. It also gives a speed readout as well, but it's not exactly accurate. Top speed of this is about 40 miles an hour. I've geared it extremely short, so it means that even though it's only a 125 with 10 horsepower, it still pulls really well. Like, it has a lot more power, but doesn't get you up to any speeds that are uncomfortable. At 40 mile an hour top whack, this is still very drivable. On smooth road surfaces and even slightly bumpy ones, you can really get some speed up in this, and it does instill good confidence. As far as everything else at the back is concerned, it's pretty much all standard moped. Got the engine there, which is all mounted with sort of dodgy mounts. The exhaust is original. The only thing I've had to do is extend it with a piece of it in the middle, which is pretty much the same sort of stuff anyway. The rear shock absorbers I originally bought from another project, but they were nowhere near man enough for that other project, so they've just sat in storage but waiting to be used. Finally, I've got the chance to use them in this. They have got adjustable pressure shocks. I haven't put any pressure in them. I keep forgetting to put pressure in them. It does mean that every time you hit a bump, it sort of just slams around. It doesn't have any dampening to it. Frankly, it doesn't bother me. It's not the smoothest ride anyway. The axle itself is the original axle from the go-kart frame. It's got a brake disc which is about the size of a compact disc. I am using the original front caliper from the moped, which is a twin piston caliper, which I've custom mounted onto that disc. That works really well, gives you a really good bite on the brake. As soon as you pull that lever, it stops up really nicely. The rear wheels are from the same batch that I got the front wheels from. Bought them from a boot sale, like 15 quid for both front wheels, hubs, and rear wheels with the little stubs on them. The wheels are slightly bent, but it doesn't really matter. Only just 40 mile an hour, like I say, and at 40 mile an hour you don't really notice a little bit of a wobble on a wheel, especially not when you're going around on dirt tracks and this, that, and the other. The sprocket, I don't know where that came from. That's been sat in a box for ages from one of my many previous projects. It's a very large sprocket to go on this. Doesn't match the chain pitch at all. So when the chain's going around it, it sort of sits on the outside of the teeth, but it's slowly wearing a groove and creating the teeth, the right pitch for it to fit on correctly. It just means that every now and then I've got to readjust the angle of the engine to retension that chain as it sits in tighter and tighter. To tighten the chain, I've created a sort of rocker system. The engine's only mounted in two places, in the middle and in the back. The middle sort of works as a seesaw sort of axis, and the rear is again another seesaw axis, using a middle point as a rocker, a rear point as a lever, and the front point connects to the engine. As I tighten down the rear bolt, it pushes the front up, tensioning the chain. It means that all I have to do if I want to tension the chain is just loosen off the engine mounting bolt so that it's got the freedom to move, tighten up the two bolts on the back, and then tighten them up again on the engine bolts. It's as simple as that. Two bolts on the back are on nylon nuts, so it's literally just a case of tighten them up and forget about them. I don't need to worry about lock nuts or any of that crap. Just literally do it up and forget. Pretty much that's it for this project at the moment. I will be moving the electronics up the top, cleaning the paint up, probably painting it a nice colour, probably not, I'm very bad at paint. Don't think there's much else for this one. It's just going to be one of those simple things that I enjoy. There will be a tow hitch going on the back so I can move my trailer around with it when I'm around and about home. Other than that, go for a go-kart.